D-Mace, Fingan, and Donick 1025, The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. We hope you are having a wonderful Wednesday, a beautiful October 1st in our fair city. Willie Donick glowing this afternoon. I can only imagine it has something to do with the result of the Red Sox-Yankees game last night.
Look, I am not a true Red Sox fan. I do enjoy the Red Sox. I was born in Boston.
But you hate the Yankees.
And we have the mutual, the Red Sox and Mets have the mutual, which is part of the reason I was allowed into my in-laws' family, because of the mutual dislike. Red Sox fans do not like the Mets at all, but they do have the collective hatred of the Yankees.
They can stomach,
as it should be.
They can stomach
like
the
any
Mets,
good yes,
when it comes to the Yankees,
right? And especially now that 86 is in the rear view, the 86 World Series, the Bill Buckner and all that. Because since then, the Red Sox have won 4 titles, and that was the interesting thing about last night's game. The Red Sox hung on and beat the Yankees at Yankee Stadium 3-1, with the Yankees' former closer, Aroldis Chapman, closing out the bottom of the 9th, in which he allowed 3 consecutive base runners to get on with nobody out. In the past, that would have been the absolute recipe for disaster for any Red Sox fan, because it would have been the inevitable, here comes the next chapter, and the Yankees ripping the heart out of the Red Sox fans. In fact, Ben Affleck has a new documentary that ESPN is promoting all throughout their day of coverage of the playoffs, just about that pain that Red Sox fans felt for 86 years that you don't have anymore. And so there was a stat that you shared with me yesterday, Adam, on the rarity of what happened last night.
The Yankees are the first team in Major League Baseball postseason history to have the bases loaded with nobody out in the bottom of the 9th, but not score a run and lose the game.
Whew. You would think. Now, baseball postseason has been happening for over 100 years.
Yes.
And that has never happened in a postseason game? That's crazy.
But you could just see the switch. Once everybody got on base, it's just like Chapman just switched. It was like, all right, my arm's warm, enough playing around with y'all. And he was just zinging it right down the middle.
But my point, Willie, is I know that your baseball heart is a little cold right now because your Mets blew it.
They blew it.
But to see the Yankees blow it in the postseason, it had to warm that heart just
it ain't over with yet.
It's not over yet.
Yes. We'll see what happens tonight.
They play again at 5:00. Meanwhile, you know I love updates, Adam.
Okay.
You and I were just listening a minute ago, and the Cleveland Guardians have just erupted with a 3-run home run to blow open a very tight game with Detroit. It is now 6-1. That is Bo Naylor, who just went deep for a 3-run shot. It was a 1-1 game going into the bottom of the 8th, and the Guardians have scored 5. Adam, you and I were in the car. We recorded Preds Insiders, grabbed something to eat, came back, and I was listening to Tom Hamilton, who was a fantastic play-by-play announcer for Cleveland. They hit a go-ahead homer in the bottom of the 8th. So Joe Rexrode and Jake Lyman are not very happy right now. That series looks like it's on the way to a 3rd and deciding game tomorrow. And the Padres have an early 1-0 lead in Wrigley Field against the Cubs, trying to even that series at 1 and force a deciding game 3.
We'll throw it to our update anchor, Willie Donick, again at some point during the program.
You just let me know, Adam, and I will be ready.
I know you
why?
are.
I love baseball.
I know you love baseball. And Titans fans hate football right now. At least the football that's being played here in Nashville, because the Titans, we know what they are. They're booty. They're cheeks. They ass.
Glutes.
They glutes, as Trevor Maddich said yesterday. They're derriere. Whatever word you want to use for butt, that is what the Titans are. The Titans are butt. But, to that butt, Brian Callahan was asked today about how Cam Ward is handling losing, because Cam Ward isn't used to losing. I believe the Miami Hurricanes went 10-3 last season. His teams at Washington State were average, but I can't imagine he's been in too many situations in his football playing life where he has been on a team as bad as the one he plays for right now. And Derek, you were listening to Brian Callahan's news conference live, and you pointed this out. You said you wanted us to play what Brian Callahan said. David, do we have that clip? Let's play Brian Callahan discussing how Cam Ward has been handling losing.
How do you deal with him in terms of those things that he's not used to?
Yeah, he's still he's a young player. You know, he's a number one overall pick. He's the face of a franchise, if you will. He's got high expectations for himself. We have high expectations around him, and we all want to meet those. And his ability to be in that spotlight in that moment, I think, is a growing process for him. I think he's growing up. I think he's starting to understand the weight of his words, what those things mean when he speaks and everyone's listening and watching. And then even though he says, he follows up the commentary with a lot of the right things, it's the one-liner that gets taken. And, he's learning how to deal with you guys and how to understand how to have those conversations and still, maintain the image that he wants to maintain as a starting quarterback. So growing up is not always easy. And I think there's some things that he's learning along the way, just like we all do.
That was Brian Callahan earlier today discussing how Cam Ward has been handling the losing that's been going on. And as Brian Callahan mentioned, the one clip has gone viral. It's ended up on all of the talk shows around ESPN and NFL Network, and Warren Moon, who of course gave Cam Ward his number, did a couple of radio interviews this week and said he wishes Cam Ward hadn't said what he said after the game. Derek said he wished that Cam Ward hadn't said that. Shannon Sharp, we played that clip yesterday, said he wished that Cam Ward would have handled it differently. But Derek, what did you like about those comments from Brian Callahan on Cam Ward?
I think he showed that, or he was trying to relate to everyone that had listened. Cam and I talked, and he has to understand. And he said it in a way where it wasn't like he was scolding Cam Ward or calling him out or anything else. That's what it should look like coming from the quarterback all the time in every situation. Why? Because everybody's watching. Brian Callahan, one reason he's going viral, not just because of his play, but because of what happened in interviews. The way he addressed interviews, the way it seems like he's letting Paul get to him. That's what, is being put out there, the frustration of Brian Callahan. Can he handle the Nashville media, so to speak? You don't want that to be what people are thinking. You don't want the story to become you. Cam allowed, and it's not like he did it on purpose, but as he grows in his game and develop from a leadership standpoint, he will understand under no circumstance should the leader of the team sound that defeated. Never. Certain words should not be used when describing your team, because we expect that from our head coaches as well. And when the head coach go outside of that, what happens? We all get mad. As players, we get mad, upset. That's something for in-house. Or you could have said it a different way. It's all about, when you're the leader, it's all about putting out the best of yourself in interviews under any circumstance, especially when it has to deal with the team. And I know it's hard. A lot of times it's hard, especially after losses. But he's going to understand that, hey, listen, no matter win or loss, I have to be an even keel. Watch all the great ones. Manning, Breeze, Brady, all those guys that you consider elite quarterbacks. If you listen to them, you don't know whether they won or lost. They're just talking. It seems like they never get frustrated. They may be upset, yeah, but they don't allow the media to see the frustration. Why? Because now the story becomes about you, the leader. Brian said it. He is the face of the organization, and he has to understand his words means a lot when it comes to the city of Nashville in regards to this team. So he just has to be, again, I love the passion and everything else. I'm not scolding him or anything, but he has to learn, and he will, that some things are better left not said or expressed the way you really want to express them.
Your word choice is important. And I'm patting ourselves on the back because I think we have been all over this both Monday and Tuesday. And we talked about it before it started to grow into what it is now. But how ironic is it? Because Brian Callahan, what we just played there, is exactly right. They took the snippet and not the overall message, which I think was a positive message of, I'm passionate, I care, I'm accountable, I hate to lose. All of that is great. It's just the one word that he chose ends up being what everybody's talking about. But I find it ironic because Brian Callahan has not followed a good playbook with media relations, not on that specific thing, but on many other things where he has fallen into a lot of traps that a young head coach can do, and he has not helped himself with that. When the overlying story of the team, to me, they are losing way more because of their roster issues. They are not losing because they are poorly coached. They are certainly not helping themselves with how they are coaching, but they're losing because they have a bad roster. But because Callahan has worsened some things that didn't have to be made worse, he has only hurt his reputation and his label even more.
One texter on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, "My gosh, Cam made a simple mistake with his choice of words 3 days ago. Let it die." When the number one overall pick at quarterback says something unquarterback-like, it is worth discussing. And the clip we played from Brian Callahan was less about that comment and more about how Cam Ward, again, is handling losing. As I said, I don't know all of the records of all of Cam Ward's teams. I know the Hurricanes went 10-3 last season. His teams at Washington State, I think combined, were 500, maybe a game or two off. So it's not like he hasn't lost before, but I have to imagine this is the most sustained losing that he has done. And when you are the number one overall pick in the draft, and your responsibility is to help turn around a franchise, and you're struggling, the team is struggling, and you get so frustrated that you say something that I think a lot of people would consider out of character, that is a story. We're not going to look, I'm going to say we ass anytime this team loses because he said it and I think it's funny. But I do think the larger point of how Cam Ward is handling this situation, because he is the leader of the team, I do think that's important.
Yeah, it is important. And again, it's not something that is going to, sidetrack his career or anything. But I think when a team is in a situation that the Titans have found themselves in, and it doesn't seem like it's going to get any better, you as the leader don't need to add more fuel or more logs to the fire. You don't need to do it. What you're trying to do as the leader is you're trying to douse that fire as much as you possibly can. And you do that why? With how you play on the field, how you sort of answer some of these questions. But instead, not on purpose, and it wasn't intent to be malicious or anything, he added logs to the fire, which has now become or has been the story. Again, you don't want to become a meme, and that's what that has become. You even said anytime, hey, you have a right now, because Cam said it, you have a right legally to say y'all ass, because Cam said it. He said we are, meaning the Titans.
Yep.
Or you know what? So you've given carte blanche to everybody to refer to your organization as that. I know that's not what he intended for it to end up. That's why you have to be very careful in situations like this, organizations where Your wording means everything in this business.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by Wilson County Hyundai.com. Coming up next, Sports Illustrated played armchair GM around the NFL, suggesting one trade every NFL team should make before the 2025 trade deadline, which is roughly a month away. And multiple Titans players were mentioned, not just in the Tennessee section. So here's what we're going to do. Would we make the deals that Sports Illustrated suggests for the Tennessee Titans? We will do that next. 615-737-1025. DVD is proudly presented by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate right now at baxhomeworks.com. D Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Michael and Madison on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, says, in all fairness to Cam, we have no idea how he would react to a win in the NFL yet. He seems like the kind of guy to not get too high after a win and not too low after a loss. But we've got no evidence of the former to base the comparison off of yet. Dustin in Hopkinsville says he's not making on the field memes, so I'm good.
See, and that's the part that's, sort of unfortunate, but I get it. When you're not winning, people don't care about the other stuff. Just get the product on the field fixed. But the other stuff allows you to, have a path to success on the field. The leadership, and that's what I'm talking about. It's the growing leadership that Cam is developing that will allow them to grow on the field and win on the field, along with adding more talent. So when it comes to a quarterback, all of this stuff means so much. Why do you think these guys get so scrutinized during the draft? They look at everything. They don't care. Why? Because you are the face of $1 billion+ organization. Any team in the NFL, $1 billion. That's where we're starting. And you are the face of it. You are to carry this organization. So everything that you do as a quarterback especially means something. It shows direction of your team and where your team's at and where your team's not. So again, I get his frustration, and this is not about, oh, Cam, it's just about him growing and saying, hey, you can be upset, but there's a way you have to, as the leader of this team. Brian Selly, you the face of this organization. As the face of this organization, it's your duty to make sure that you don't get that frustrated to where you use words that then are used against you and your team.
So we've talked a lot about what the Titans should do before the early November NFL trade deadline, because let's face it, the season is over. Yes, the Titans have 13 more games left to play, but they're 0-4. They're not going anywhere. So Sports Illustrated played armchair GM around the NFL and suggested one trade every NFL team should make before the upcoming NFL trade deadline. 4 Titans players were mentioned in this exercise, one of which is, the Titans had to make a trade. But there were 3 other teams that the armchair GMs at Sports Illustrated suggested should acquire a member of the Tennessee Titans. So let's just start with the trade they suggested for the Titans to make. Sports Illustrated suggested the Titans trade Arden Key to the San Francisco 49ers for a 6th round pick. Fine, whatever. That seems reasonable, right? 6th round pick for Arden Key?
Yeah.
I take it.
Here were the 3 others. The authors of the story suggested that the Chicago Bears trade a 2nd round pick for Jeffrey Simmons. And based on what we've discussed over the past couple of days, I'm not accepting just a 2nd round pick for Jeffrey Simmons.
No. That's a pass. I'll wait it out.
It's just, I'm not completely shutting the door on it, because again, it's, do you want to keep him and think he's going to be a part of your future moving forward? Or are you going to say, you know what, I'm going to take this high 2nd round pick and maybe something else, and let's make this move while we can? Because this is, after this, it's gone. The ability to trade and get the value that you want, the highest value, it's gone.
A 2nd round pick just doesn't do it for me. Based on what we've discussed over the past couple of days, I think at the moment Jeffrey Simmons is more valuable than a 2nd round pick. But they suggest at Sports Illustrated that the Bears should send a 2nd round pick to the Titans for Jeffrey Simmons.
They should.
They should.
If the Titans would say yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
It takes 2. Yeah. Like that's not full value for Jeffrey Simmons.
Now here is one that if this were to happen, I would do a cartwheel in the studio, and nobody wants to see that. But if this were to happen,
is there enough room in this studio to do a cartwheel?
I kind of want to see it happen.
I think there is. I think there could be.
It's got to be a tight cartwheel.
We got to move a lot of chairs.
Yes, there are a lot of chairs.
I think you can do it though.
But if this were to happen, I would do a cartwheel. SI suggested that the Los Angeles Rams trade a conditional 3rd-round pick for L'Jarius Sneed. If a team is willing to give you that, I will drive L'Jarius Sneed to the airport myself.
I would agree. I think you would do that in a heartbeat. Get the pick back for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because it was a 3rd-round pick,
Yeah.
correct? To acquire him?
Yeah.
Their rationale was the Rams might be a cornerback away from becoming real threats to the Eagles and Lions in the NFC. The secondary got exposed by Jalen Hurts in week 3, and the weapons in Detroit could do the same. Now, Sneed might no longer be as good as he was in Kansas City, but it's worth the hassle for the Rams to find out whether he can regain his top form. Sneed is only 28, and there's a potential out on his contract next year in case it doesn't work out in Los Angeles. But with better support than what he has had in Tennessee, it wouldn't be shocking to see Sneed have a career revival with a team as good as the Rams.
I mean, listen, it just depends on how the Rams or how close the Rams feel they are. And because at this point, he's not playing well. So does a cornerback that's not playing well, that has to be managed with injury, is he worth the pick that you're willing to give up? If I'm a GM, I don't know. What was the pick again?
A conditional 3rd-round pick for
I'm not
L'Jarius
sure if I'm
Sneed.
giving up a conditional 3rd-round pick for him, man. He's damaged goods, but he hasn't played well either.
That's my point. If a team is willing to give
But
you
if they willing,
a
I take
conditional
it.
3rd-round
Yeah.
pick for
But I don't think
L'Jarius
nobody be
Sneed,
willing to do it.
I will see him off myself.
Oh, of course. Take it. Take it.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And in the final trade involving the Titans, according to Sports Illustrated's armchair GMs, the Washington Commanders trade a 5th-round pick for Tony Pollard.
Washington, 5th round.
Is a 5th-round pick good value for Tony Pollard?
I think at this stage of his career, I
Possibly,
might
yeah.
try to
4th,
get a
maybe?
conditional that can move to a 4th. But realistically,
Yeah, he may not get.
I think that's about right. And
5th.
I would consider it, even though at a certain point, it depends on how many other trades you're making.
Mhm.
But you want to remember get my quarterback what he needs. And that's a tricky one because Tony Pollard is doing a lot of things
Mhm.
right now. And it's not just run the ball. He is a guy that if you watch, Tony Pollard's doing a lot of things, moving around, picking up blitzes, doing, he is helping Cam Ward right now. I would be tempted because every draft pick is a throw at the dartboard, and it's a chance to get another good player, even though your odds are getting a really impactful player in rounds 5, 6, and 7 go pretty far down once you get past the first 100 or so picks. But it's a shot, and they need shots.
They need a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because
And Tony Pollard will not be on the next
No.
really good Titans
he
team.
may not.
He's
He may
a
not be on the
solid
team
pro.
next year.
He's
just because.
Yeah, and he's a solid pro that can help somebody.
Yeah.
Let's go to Antonio on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHonda.com. Antonio, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thank you for taking my call.
Of course.
I'm just calling at y'all. I'm an old school Titans fan. When we first got here in '99, '98, I was in 8th grade. And when I speak this, I say this with heart. The Titans, they start in order for us to do good, to be successful. We come from it's kind of like an old school culture. We have to have like an old school coach or an old school offensive coordinator, so forth and so forth. We was winning then, with Derek Mason, of course, I'm so glad that we had him and Steven there, Ed George and all them. Then after they left, we sucked, for a couple of years because we was trying to figure out what we wanted to do, who can we get in to bring in to win the culture. Then we brought in John Robinson and Vrabel. We started winning again, because they have that old school mentality. Then they let them go. And now we brought in.
Thank you for the call, Antonio. Your phone is breaking up.
Yeah. I'm not sure what he was trying to necessarily, get at. I get that those teams and a lot of people, miss those teams, but to me, they've had teams sent, but it's been far and few between. And people want so bad for this team to be that next team. But at this juncture, they don't have enough, and they don't have enough to give away to try to get enough to build this team the way as quickly as I think the fans want them, because they don't have, with the exception of two or three that are maybe one that would net them anything above a fourth.
So let's quickly recap here. This was on sportsillustrated.com. It was an article written by Matt Verderame and Gilberto Manzano.
There we go.
Two of their staff writers, in addition to Connor Orr and Albert Breer. And what they did is they went through every team in the NFL and proposed one trade every NFL team should make before the 2025 deadline. So based on what those two are suggesting, the Titans would net a second-round pick for Jeffrey Simmons, a conditional third-round pick for L'Jarius Sneed, a sixth-round pick for Arden Key, and a fifth-round pick for Tony Pollard. Let's say all of that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the Titans make those exact deals with those exact teams, and they end up with a second, a conditional third, which I assume could become a second, a sixth-round pick, and a fifth-round pick. Would that be a satisfying, successful trade deadline for you?
I think it would be, because we anticipate this team, based on how they looked the first 4 games, to maybe win 1, 2, possibly. So you're sitting at 1-7, 2-6. You're not going anywhere. So if somebody's willing to give up that for those guys, the Jeffrey Simmons thing, I'm still trying to push for a first-round pick. I'm still trying to push for a first. But if they're willing to give all that on a team that is not going, give it here. Give it here.
Let's go to Mike in Gallatin on our phone line. Mike, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, guys, I definitely understand the desire to try to acquire as many draft picks as we possibly can. And while I don't think this roster that we have is exactly helping Cam Ward develop or anything else like that, but are we helping Cam Ward by trading away our entire team and having him bring in guys? I mean, assuming you trade all those guys away, we'd have to go digging in the waiver wire for Lord knows who. And I feel like we're just only pushing him further down the line. Is it something that we could consider benching Cam Ward or holding him off? I mean, like, what's the timeline after we do all of this? Because I feel like we're only hurting him by taking away his weapons, if you want to call them that.
Thank you for the call, Mike.
It's a fair point that I think has to be considered when you're doing all this, which is why I gave hesitation a little bit with Pollard, depending on what the offer is. You would have to feel okay about what you have. Now, you notice we're not talking about trading offensive linemen. We're not talking about trading any of the receivers right now. So I do think it is considered when you're making any deal. But the extra picks are what are long-term going to help Cam Ward. The issue of do you ever consider sitting him is one that, to me, is not on the table now. But I wouldn't rule it out down the road if he just gets so battered and they don't feel like they can protect him, which has already been a problem. But I'm still hopeful that they can get Latham back. I just saw that they picked up a tackle on the waiver wire, that they're going to try to fortify that and give him a chance. Let's just hope that they don't get to a point where they're like, we're waving the white flag. We just don't want to put him in harm's way anymore. It would have to get another level or two.
Everybody be fired if that happened.
Yeah.
615-737-1025. Sports Illustrated suggests one trade every NFL team should make before the trade deadline, which is in roughly a month. Here are the trades they suggest that involve the Titans. Jeffrey Simmons to the Bears for a second-round pick. L'Jarius Sneed to the Rams for a conditional third-round pick. Arden Key to the 49ers for a sixth-round pick, and Tony Pollard to the Commanders for a fifth-round pick. Let's say all of these trades were to happen. How would you feel? Would you be satisfied by the returns on those deals? 615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We will get your reaction next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 1025 The Game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Talking an article in Sports Illustrated where the author suggested one trade every NFL team should make before the 2025 trade deadline, which is in roughly a month. The Tennessee Titans, or players for the Tennessee Titans, I should say, were mentioned 4 times. Here's a recap. Jeffrey Simmons to the Chicago Bears for a second-round pick. L'Jarius Sneed to the Rams for a conditional third-round pick. Arden Key to the 49ers for a sixth-round pick. Tony Pollard to the Commanders for a fifth-round pick. Would you accept that? 615-737-1025. Let's go to Brandon on our phone line. Brandon, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
What's up? What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Good, thanks.
Okay. First, I saw the trade proposal for Jeffrey Simmons. I just think that's too low.
I agree.
Me personally, I feel like Jeffrey Simmons right now is playing like the best defensive tackle in the league. So that being said, he deserves for a trade like that no less than a first rounder, and I will push for at least a first and a third. That's how I view somebody that's valuable as Jeffrey Simmons. You know, now the L'Jarius Sneed trade, now I would take that in a heartbeat. A conditional third rounder, man, I'd take that quick. To be honest with you, I doubt we get that though, but I'd trade him away. Pollard, he's too valuable. You know, I would say trade Pollard away for a conditional fourth rounder. Fifth rounder straight up, you know, he just too good of a player. I know you can kind of get out on his contract, but still, like, we don't have any, just real contributor running back because Tajay Spears just coming off injury. I don't know how good he's going to be, but L'Jarius Sneed, take that trade within a heartbeat. Jeffrey Simmons, man, we got to get more for him. But, hey, shout out to D. Mason, man. I grew up watching you, man, when I was a kid, man, with the Titans and the Ravens. And it's just an honor hearing from you, man. And man, I'm a diehard Titans fan, man. I've been a Titans fan all my life, man. So, but that's what I think, though. We need to get better draft capital, and I'm gonna throw this out there, man. Get rid of Chad Brinker and make Mike Berganzi the head of Titans football.
Well, thank you, Brandon. Mike Borgonzi just got here. I know that Chad Brinker is a popular target right now. Michael in Madison says he would drive Sneed all the way to Los Angeles if the Titans got a third for him. I just suggested the airport.
He's going all the way.
I'm not driving nobody. No, you pick him up.
No, I am not doing a cross-country road trip.
Oh, man.
You don't like the cross-country driving to begin with, Adam?
He don't like driving over 2 hours.
No,
I mean, he should be lucky he's getting a trip to the airport.
Exactly.
I think he'd rather fly to L'Jarius. But, for some of these guys, Pollard, Sneed, I think they will be loyal to the team, but they might be, I don't know if this gets feedback through the agent. They might enjoy jumping on a bandwagon and be motivated to jump on the Rams and try to help and see if they can contend with him in there. That's what you hope for when you trade for a player, for a veteran player.
I think, every veteran player that's on a team that doesn't look like they're going to be winning anytime soon, wants to get an opportunity, while they can to win. So, I'm sure if that trade was proposed to the Titans and they asked L'Jarius Sneed, I guarantee you he would have his bags packed already. Headed out here to Los Angeles to go to the Rams. Because why? They are a playoff caliber team.
Ricky says, I own a car service. Load them all up. I'll drive.
Man, y'all ready to get rid of all these cats. But that's where the Titans are at this point in time, where you don't have that, you don't have a good team. You have few assets worth, trading, and even the assets that's worth trading, all but one will not yield you truthfully. I know the trade proposals that were put out there, but realistically, the only one that would come close to that or probably surpass that is Jeffrey Simmons. Everybody else, unfortunately.
Right. Just take what you can get.
Exactly. That's what it's going to be.
Ron on our text line says teams that may only need one more piece to make a run will give a better deal for Jeffrey Simmons. Skylar says, if you could get a third or even a fourth for Sneed, I would drive his ass to whichever city needs him. A lot of people are willing to carpool with L'Jarius Sneed for a conditional third-round pick as proposed by Sports Illustrated. Now, there are a couple of texts in here. Let me see if I can find the first one. Here it is. We get this text every time we have this conversation. How can anyone trust the Titans picking talent? I think they've shown
Every
they
day.
have
We
no
get it every
idea
day.
who to pick and how to identify talent. At least we know what these players are at this point. I get it, guys. You've been scarred by the Tennessee Titans draft record in recent years. I totally understand it. You have every right to feel that way.
So what is the alternative? Don't pick?
Right.
Don't let them pick.
You're
That's
not
what
going to
they're
make
saying.
a bad pick if you don't pick. That makes no sense at all. You have to think about that answer as you type it. And I get the thought. Morale is down. They've had terrible drafts, as we've pointed out. But you have to keep going. Well, there's only one place you can get talent.
Got to keep stepping up the bat.
Yes. The alternative, there are no alternatives. The alternative is let's not make a pick.
You can do that.
I mean,
But
that's
then
what
people
They
be
might as well
upset.
might as well have done that when they picked Isaiah Wilson.
Yeah.
We're not
you're right.
picking.
I mean,
You would have been just as good by saying we're passing.
And Caleb Williams.
And Pierre Farley, for that matter, yeah.
Caleb Farley, not Caleb Williams.
I mean, the Titans could take Homer Simpson's advice, which is you tried your best and you failed miserably. The lesson is never try.
Or they can just draft Homer Simpson.
Exactly.
See how that goes.
He may get more snaps in than Isaiah Wilson. Let's go to David on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunted.com. David, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Yes, I've been a Titans fan for 20 years, and I have been through it all. I just wonder if we're talking about the rookie quarterback and his best friend is a running back. I just wonder what would have happened. What do you think would have happened if we would have kept Derrick Henry? And is Tony Pollard worth hanging on to because of the same reason, giving the rookie quarterback some support?
Thank you, David.
I think this will always, this is going to be one of these, what if things that people are going to bring up maybe 10, 15 years down the line. What if the Titans have kept Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and had Cam Ward?
Danico
Oh,
Autry.
my goodness. Oh, they would
Kevin Byard.
They would have been, they would have been,
Taylor
they would have been good. I get it. But maybe not, because a lot of those guys outside of Derrick Henry, who has just been this sort of Iron Man when it comes to the running back position, he's a throwback. That's what Derrick Henry is. But anybody outside of Derrick Henry, all those guys, well, A.J. Brown too, those two guys, everybody else, I mean, they were not going to be, even Derrick Henry to an extent, I would say. We had seen the best of Derrick Henry here because of how the team was made up. Regardless if you would have kept him and got Cam Ward, it still would have been the same thing. You losing games, because that's what happened when Derrick Henry was here and you had a better roster. You still were losing game. Why? Because the roster wasn't good. It was depreciating by the game. And look where they're at now. So I understand, man, if Derrick was here, I look back and say if Derrick was here, how good this team would probably be. But I mean, you can't hold on to that. The team they didn't have to move on, but they chose to move on because they felt Derrick Henry, this is one they miscalculated. I don't think they miscalculated anything else outside of him, because I'm not counting AJ, but I'm just saying as far as letting somebody go and not re-signing them.
And drafting and developing and retaining, which is something I think I've heard come out of the Tennessee Titans facility once or twice or 200 times. Drafting, developing, and retaining is how you become a good team. And the Titans haven't really done any of that. So I understand the point that why trade Jeffrey Simmons? He's playing like one of the best defensive linemen in the league right now, which I would agree with. He's been playing incredibly well. And we know what Jeffrey Simmons is. But if you trade him for a second-round pick and a third-round pick, you're just going to be looking for the next Jeffrey Simmons. And what are the chances one of those picks becomes the next Jeffrey Simmons? I get all that. I get it. But this team is in dire straits. And whether it's Jeffrey Simmons or Tony Pollard or L'Jarius Sneed or Arden Key, who are the players mentioned in this article on sportsillustrated.com. You can add in other ones if you want. Trading those, like, you're not getting any better with those players on your team. It's not happening. So you have to look toward the future, which means some more lean years. And Titans fans, I know you don't want to experience any more lean years because this team, if my math is right, since the win at Green Bay before that long losing streak to end that season,
when they went to 7-3 in the win over Green Bay on the Thursday night.
Yes, the Titans are 9-36. 9-36. I believe every other team in the NFL has at least 12 wins over that span.
That tells you how bad
9-36. So I know you don't want to watch any more bad football. I know I am prone to hyperbole. The game on Sunday against the Texans may have been the worst football game I've ever watched. It's painful to watch these games. You feel like you're wasting your life watching the Tennessee Titans play football right now. But the way out of it is by being proactive, which is why we're talking about this, because the Titans over the next month are going to have some tough decisions to make. And it may involve Jeffrey Simmons. It may involve L'Jarius Sneed again. A lot of you have volunteered to drive L'Jarius Sneed. I don't even have to do that anymore. At least 3 or 4 of you have said in the text line, if the Rams offered a conditional third-round pick for L'Jarius Sneed, you would drive him across the country. I sure as hell am not doing that. I would drive him to departures at B&A and leave him there. That's as far as I'm going. But some of you are willing to do the entire cross-country road trip like you're Max and Goofy in a Goofy movie, which is a fantastic movie. I don't know why I just mentioned that, but I got to stop. Okay.
I like Disney.
Yes, I do like Disney. I'm on the tangent here.
Eye for eye.
Yes, eye for eye is a great eye to eye. Not
my bad. Eye to eye.
Eye to eye.
If you're gonna know it, if you're gonna say it, you gotta know it.
Yes.
I know that's on me. I messed up that one.
All right. I'm gonna stop my soliloquy here. Let's quickly go to Ricky in Nashville on our phone line. Ricky, thank you for waiting. Please go ahead.
No problem. First, I'd just like to say, Willie, as someone who I met my first week here in Nashville, my love and prayers to you and your family. I haven't had the chance to speak to you.
Thank you, my friend.
Anytime. I want to say here, I think what the GM needs to do is take the hockey approach with the trade deadline. Someone's going to get injured. Someone is going to need a certain player at a certain position and fill it the week of the trade deadline. You're not going to lose anything with Pollard. You can get a running back out of college in the second round. You can grab as many second-round picks as you can. I would hold out for a first on Jeffrey Simmons. You have to get something for him because right now he's the only basic star we have left on this team. And one thing I wanted to say, if we kept Derrick Henry, we wouldn't have Cam Ward because we would have won an extra game somewhere down the line in that season. And my last advice is, I enjoy bad football. Just keep betting against the Titans and making money. Money line all the way.
Money line.
There we go.
Thank you
That's
for
why you
the
never
call,
get tired of
Ricky.
losing football.
Good stuff.
615-737-1025. B-Man says, so anyway, how about them doors, huh? Don't worry. We will discuss Vanderbilt and Alabama, but we see your reaction on our phone and text line, so we're going to continue this conversation for another segment. Again, Sports Illustrated played Armchair GM. Here are the trades that Sports Illustrated suggested the Titans make in the next month. Jeffrey Simmons to Chicago for a second-round pick. L'Jarius Sneed to the Rams for a conditional third-round pick. Arden Key to the 49ers for a sixth-round pick. Tony Pollard to the Commanders for a fifth-round pick. Your thoughts? 615-737-1025. Willie Darnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D-Mace, Finnegan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you, talking Titans. The NFL trade deadline is November 4th. The Titans play 5 games before the NFL trade deadline, at the Cardinals, at the Raiders, home to the Patriots, at the Colts, and home to the Chargers. And we are talking a story in Sports Illustrated which suggested one trade that every NFL team should make before the deadline in roughly a month. And here are the trades that involve Titans players. Jeffrey Simmons to the Bears for a second-round pick. L'Jarius Sneed to the Rams for a conditional third-round pick. Arden Key to the Niners for a sixth-round pick. Tony Pollard to the Commanders for a fifth-round pick. Your reaction, 615-737-1025. Let's start this hour by going to Mike on our phone line. He's been waiting patiently. Mike, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Yeah, guys, I'd like to ask a question that nobody seems to be asking, is that if we do all these trades coming up in about a month, what is Cam Ward going to say? Does he say, you know what, I came to Tennessee, I'm the number one pick, and now I'm in this massive chaos. Do I have a right to go somewhere else? Maybe I just don't want to play here anymore. I mean, is he under any type of long-term contract? I don't think he is. And with all this chaos going on here in Tennessee, I do believe that we need to trade up for higher picks. But I guarantee you, Cam Ward right now is saying, I'm never going to see a Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen contract ever the way it's going here in Tennessee. And I'm just wondering, what if he comes out and says, I don't want to play here anymore?
Thank you for the call, Mike. Cam Ward, his rookie contract is worth $48.7 million over 4 seasons. So just keep that in mind. But
it's really 6 seasons.
But that's true. Let's just discuss the general point that Mike wanted to make. How would you feel if all of these hypothetical trades happened if you were Cam Ward? Because another caller said it in the first hour. You know, the Titans would be putting Cam Ward in an even more disadvantageous position if they were to trade their best defensive player and a starting corner and an edge rusher and the starting running back. So it would be tougher for Cam Ward. But you guys tell me if you think I'm off base when I say this. Cam Ward also had to understand that when you are the number 1 overall pick, now there are situations where the pick gets traded and you go to a team that isn't the worst team in the NFL. But when you are the number 1 overall pick in a draft, regardless of sport, you are going to a bad team. Mm-hmm. And bad teams usually do not transform overnight. So Cam Ward had to know coming into this situation that it was going to be a hard road to start. So let's answer that question, Willie and Derek. How would you feel if you were Cam Ward and these hypothetical trades happened and Jeffrey Simmons and L'Jarius Sneed and Arden Key and Tony Pollard went out the door the next month?
I would feel as if the organization is trying to win.
You have the opposite feeling that the caller did.
Yeah, I did, because you look at the players there they would be parting from. All these guys really are aging players. These are guys outside of Jeffrey Simmons. How many of these guys are going to be, a part of the next iteration of the Tennessee Titans once they go into their new building? The guys that you're talking about, I would almost bet outside of Jeffrey Simmons, 99% of them will be gone next year. The only person that may still be here is L'Jarius Sneed, and that's because of the contract probably. And they will, if he doesn't play better and they can't, part ways with him, right before the trade deadline, best believe they're going to try to do something before the draft to move him if he doesn't play better. So I just look at it different. I think when you are in Cam's position and because you're looking at it from a 10,000 foot view and you see the moves that they're making and how they can potentially help the team. You are moving aging assets that still may garner you something, but you're moving them in order to get younger, stronger, faster, and better. Your rookie quarterback sees that. He's good with that. He knows that he knew when he got drafted that there may be some growing pains. He felt he could help them out of it. And he felt, hey, listen, with me, it may not happen, but realistically, you're drafting number one. Why overall? Because you're a bad team. So he had to know coming in that this team wasn't good. But now he sees it all. And if he see upper management making moves, he look at it as, oh, we're trying to get better.
If they were 2-2, then I would feel a little different.
Yes.
Or even 1-3 and been right in the games, then I would be a little concerned about, hey, we're battling, we're right in it, and you're trading these veterans that are helping keep us afloat. But they're 0-4. Like, I think he knows we have to get better, and this is how you get better. Long term.
Yes,
long
you
term.
sit down and say, how do we get better as a team long term? As a head coach, GM, whatever Brinker's title is.
Supreme ruler of football.
Supreme ruler of football. There you go. And the quarterback. All four of y'all are in lockstep mentally on how you're going to get this franchise, move it from where it's at now to a better place. Everyone should be thinking the same thing. And if trading an aging player on a roster that's 0-4 right now and doesn't seem like things are going to change drastically, I think as a young quarterback, you're looking and say, yeah, we got to do something. I understand why they're making the moves that they're making, because I don't want to sit in this space no longer than what I have to. So make all the moves y'all can make right now to get draft capital so we can get some young players in here to grow with me. Do that. If you don't do it, I'm looking at y'all like, why aren't y'all doing anything?
It's come to my attention that John Robinson has posted on Instagram a happy birthday message to his wife. I would like to read that message. Quote, happy 46th B-Day to my best friend of 26 years. Love you, babe. And I guess it's still my fault. Hashtag we ass. If you know, you know.
See?
3 crying emojis. 3 crying laughing emojis.
See that right there. And boy, oh boy, John Robinson probably loved that. He was like, ooh, I get a little pop shot right now. That right there. That is people. That is why I don't fault John Robinson, because hell, there must have been something that went on that they would never, at least no time soon. He may tell it later. But it was more than just, okay, we're losing, you're fired, because of the way it happened. So now he's taking little, subtle shots here and there. So there may be a flood of things coming out pretty soon here. I don't know. But when you are a leader, this is what I go back to. Words mean everything, because now this has become a hashtag, a meme. Everybody's using it. So there you go.
Let's go to Steve in Nashville on our phone line. Steve, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Just want to raise up a point. See, and maybe you guys can, I don't know, Derek, maybe you can feed into this a little bit, but I know you guys are talking about making these roster moves, and I can see why. We need help, but I'm wondering, do you need to have some sort of identity or some kind of something in mind of what kind of identity you want your team to have before you start making these moves, or is that something that's just sort of self-generated as we move along?
It's a good question. Thank you, Steve. I have no idea what the Tennessee Titans identity is.
Nobody does.
But I think,
and that's a problem,
from what everybody is saying and inferring or deducing one or all of the above, depending on your perspective, right? I don't know if deducing.
That's what there we go.
A small bell, right? Not
but
a big
it's a bell. But
deducing,
it's a bell.
that wasn't like a big time word.
Yeah.
But the Brownlee trade tells you that something was going on with the identity, the culture, and he wasn't fitting. And unfortunately, Callahan had to dance around it and didn't do a very good job of it. But if Borgonzi or Brinker were being held to the fire or were willing to be open, I think they would admit that's the only reason you would give him away, because as a talent, he has some. He's your starter, And there wouldn't be any other reason why you would trade him other than you're trying to build an identity.
This is the more and more I think about it. This is one reason why I am disappointed in upper management, meaning GM, really GM and supreme ruler of football, is that you gave Brian Callahan, let's just say, 5 hours to come up with an answer because you knew it was going to be asked. You gave him 5 hours, whatever it is, but you get a whole 2, 3, 4 months to come up with it, whatever excuse you're going to come up, because the question is going to be asked of you when you decide to talk, Brinkert or Borgonzi. And it's going to be, why did you trade a young guy that seems to be starter, a guy that has some potential, a guy that can, moving forward, be one of the cornerstones of your defense. Yes, he had to get away from the hold, and I get that, but he was a good player. Great player? No. Good player? Yes. Yes. So you you chose to trade him away. And then instead of y'all giving answers, you send a coach out there to get answers, and it just went left. But you get a whole 2 or 3 months to come up with your answer. That's going to end up being a non-answer anyway. That's the part that I'm disappointed. You sent your coach out there just like you sent Vrabel out there. Let Vrabel handle it. Let Brian Callahan handle the trading of a young player that has some potential. That's the part that I'm disappointed with.
And I'll remind people for context, for reference, Floyd Reese, for years and years, as long as he was the GM in this city, came on the flagship radio station, which I was a part of for a long time, every Friday for an hour, took questions from the fans every Friday for an hour. And we have this, oh my gosh, I don't think I can go talk to the media after a trade.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's the last couple of GMs now. Like Robinson was more accessible. Carthon ran and hid and got skewered as he should have. And now Borgonzi seems to be in the same kind of mode of, I don't need to I'm going to let the coach who was out on the firing lines every week taking all of the shots, and he's going to take it alone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get that. You don't have to go on the air every Friday for an hour, but when you make a trade, go out and explain to the fans, who the media is your conduit to the fans. Explain what you're doing. You don't have to give everything. Floyd Reese was on for an hour every week. Do you think he unveiled secrets he didn't want known? No. But he was as open as he could be. He was accessible. He communicated. That's what you need. The question was about identity. That's part of your identity, is how you come across. What is your position with the fans? The Titans do not care about that. It's obvious that they don't. The top doesn't care, and their management doesn't care. They'll put it all on the coach because it's like, oh, yeah, we'll let him take 100% of the heat, even though the roster stinks. And it's not all on Borgonzi. He didn't draft these guys, but help the messaging.
Mm-hmm.
Help communicate with your fans. It's brutal.
It is true that Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker have not taken as much heat as Rand Carthon did in regards to addressing reporters. That was one of the biggest criticisms of Rand Carthon. He did not hold news conferences. He made the unforced error of doing that interview with the Tennessean after the blowout loss to the Lions. That's where the infamous "the ball didn't bounce our way" quote came from, if you may recall. And there was no audio of that interview, so we just had to take it by what was written in the Tennessean. But you're right, Willie. You're absolutely right. I think that when you trade Jarvis Brownlee, who had his warts as a player, but was starting for your team, when you trade him out of nowhere for Effectively nothing, because what is the value of a 6th round pick? Really?
Nothing.
But it's not even just it's they traded the 7th to get the 6th, so they're just moving up however many slots the 7th and the 6th are. It's a X amount of slots.
Yeah, they just
at the
swap picks,
bottom of
that's
the
all.
draft, so it's even less than the value of a 6th round pick.
One texter, Eli, says the GM is giving a perception of apathy, which is the worst thing you can do. It will alienate the fans and they will revolt. I'm not sure Mike Borgonzi is apathetic. And look, Mike Borgonzi has done a handful of news conferences. He says absolutely nothing. I'm not sure how much value there is, but you still do need to go up there and say something. One texter says the Titans should take tips from the Predators from this perspective. Barry Trotz is very open to talking to the media. To your point, Willie, about the late Floyd Reese, I don't know how many NHL general managers sit down with the flagship radio station on a weekly basis like Barry Trotz does, which he will start doing on Tuesday at 5 o'clock on this show right here. But I get that point. Mike says, Mike Borgonzi, you go. Chad Brinker, no, you go. Never mind. Let's just send Callahan. I know what you are, but what am I? I'm not quite sure I get all of that. Matt said, did Floyd do the hour?
Pee Wee Herman.
Yes. I don't have a secret word though.
Oh yeah.
Did Floyd do the hour every Friday for free?
I don't know.
I'm not sure what difference that makes. It was with the flagship station. He was from 5 to 6 with George Plaster and I and Darren McFarland. He took phone calls. We screened the phone calls to make sure it was a legitimate person and not somebody who was going to, say bad,
rail on him.
But we didn't screen and say, what is your question for the coach? You have a question for the GM? Yes. Like he would answer whatever questions came his way. It wasn't, and by the way, he was on when I went to the station that was the flagship at the time. It was 2003, so it was at the end of the great run.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like everything was hunky dory because he went on every Friday in 2004 when it all crumbled, and then 2005, and that was a total rebuild. In 2006, he was there whether times were good or times were bad, so it can be done. And even Mike Reinfeld, his successor, continued on. Were they paid? I don't know the answer. Maybe they were given something from the flagship to do it, but still they're doing it. It's like a coach that does a weekly radio show, a college football coach. That's something that they get paid for, but they stand in front of there and they take the questions.
It has been brought to my attention that Floyd Reese did get paid. It was part of his contract.
I'm sure. But what honestly, what difference does that make?
None. Because my thing is, it would be great if,
and I'll take it further. When I was on the radio station, that was not the flagship. In the years leading up to when I joined the flagship, he often came. It wasn't weekly, but he came on all the time. Jeff Fisher came on all the time. If we requested, he came out there, and they talked about. They were not shy at communicating why they did things. They would answer the question.
And that's the only thing I want from him.
Yeah, I asked the question, what difference does it make whether he's paid or not?
You just need to be there when there's when something big happens in an organization, a move like that, I consider big because he's been a starter for a year and a half for you, a season and a half. When something big comes out like that or happens like that, you as the GM needs to be in front, or you as the supreme ruler of football need to be in front, because I guarantee you, if it was bringing in, let's just say, Jefferson from Minnesota, you made a blockbuster deal for you. I guarantee you, all of y'all, Brinkert and Borgonzi, y'all would be right in front of that camera answering questions.
One texter says, I would just settle for a public apology from Amy Adams Strunk for driving this franchise off a cliff. Don't hold your breath, texter. 615-737-1025 will take your thoughts on the Titans. But coming up next, a massive college football game this Saturday as Vanderbilt takes on the Alabama Crimson Tide. We will dive into that matchup coming up next. 615-737-1025. Our show is proudly presented by Bax Homeworks. Financing options are available to make your remodel easier than you think. with Bax Homeworks. Get a free estimate at baxhomeworks.com.
Hey, let's tell you about Loan Pronto and what they continue to do for their clients. If you got stuck with a higher mortgage payment, now there's a lot of services that Loan Pronto has, but right now they want you to know that mortgage rates have gone down. So over the last bit of time when mortgage rates have been up, if you got stuck with one and you're looking at your payment and saying, man, I'd love to cut that down by a few $100, you need to contact Loan Pronto right now because their rate reduction home loan program is going strong. It's a streamlined, low-cost way to slash your house payments by those hundreds of dollars a month because you'll have a lower fixed rate, as low as 4.99% APR recently, and you can close this in as little as 2 weeks. So it's a streamlined process. No appraisal needed in most cases, and you can skip your next 2 house payments. How does that sound to you? So don't wait any longer. Call Loan Pronto at 615-499-5780 or go to loanpronto.com. That's 615-499-5780 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
D-May, Svingen, and Donick 1025 the game. That's the good stuff. I mentioned the Goofy movie earlier, and David James delivers. Shout out, Powerline. Tevin Campbell as Powerline in the Goofy movie. If you haven't seen it, it's a fabulous movie.
One of the best.
One of the best. Anyway, we know there is a huge college football game on the horizon involving the Vanderbilt Commodores. They head to Alabama this Saturday afternoon, 2:30 p.m. on ABC. And of course, you can hear that game right here on 1025 the game. Last I checked, Alabama is favored by 10.5. As you know, probably, College Game Day will be at Tuscaloosa for this game. Vanderbilt's second ever College Game Day appearance, the first since 2008. By the way, this is Alabama's 61st appearance on College Game Day. College Game Day, excuse me.
Wow.
So 61 for Alabama, 2 for Vanderbilt. 2 for Vanderbilt. But Vanderbilt won
61-2.
Who are you doing there?
Somebody from New York, I guess.
Oh, okay. What does that have anything to do with this?
Well, the pointing out how routine it is for Alabama to be on game day.
Yes,
and
I just don't know what accent that was.
I was being a New York guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It didn't land right.
The New York guy talking about Alabama Vandy.
This is live radio.
Live radio.
Not everything goes.
Everything doesn't land right.
It was funny in my own mind. My truth
And
is that
that
was
is all
funny.
that matters, Willie.
I laughed in my head.
I wasn't sure if that was like some deep cut from The Godfather or something that you were trying to do.
And what made it even worse, Adam was like, so what was that?
What was that? I usually roll with the punches, but
Was
that
that supposed
stopped
to be
me.
funny?
That stopped me in my tracks. Nevertheless, Alabama, 61 appearances on College Game Day. Vanderbilt, 2. But Vanderbilt did win its previous appearance on College Game Day. I don't think Alabama is undefeated on College Game Day.
Oh, no.
But Vanderbilt is at 1-0. If you recall, over the summer, Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams, in discussing this game, I believe with John Gruden, said, quote, "We're going to kill an ant with a sledgehammer," when Vanderbilt visits Alabama. So Vanderbilt has been playing exceptionally well. We know that. We talk to Clark Lee every Monday. The team is 5-0. The team is averaging 49 points per game. They are the 4th highest scoring offense in the country. Their offense is rolling. Their defense is holding up. So Vanderbilt certainly has a chance at Alabama. But here's my question. Let's start with Coach Willie himself, the proud Vanderbilt alum. I'm wondering if the Commodores, and this is meant to be no disrespect to Vanderbilt. As I just said, they're playing exceptionally well. But I'm wondering if the Commodores can hang with the Crimson Tide without the element of surprise. Because I felt that was part of what happened last season. Nobody expected Vanderbilt to beat then number 1 ranked Alabama. But the secret is out about Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia. Vanderbilt's playing well. Alabama knows what to expect. So I'm wondering how that factors into this matchup, Willie.
I think it is a central question, probably more from Alabama's perspective, because last year when Alabama ascended to number 1, and Vanderbilt had lost to Georgia State, there is no question in my mind that Alabama was ambushed by Vanderbilt. They did not see the Pavia crew coming. They didn't see it, and they were down 14-0 before the seats were warm. Vanderbilt came in. It was like Rocky. When he first fought Apollo Creed and he lands the big punch and knocks him down in the first round, and everybody's like, Creed's never been knocked down before.
Do you have a Rocky impression for us? That's better than the one you did before?
No.
Think
no.
about it.
I'm not going to go there after I whiffed on the last one.
Adrian!
Not bad.
I do love that movie, though. I was thinking about a Rocky line, but I'll leave it at that. Creed is down. And by the way, one of the best things about Rocky is the announcers are so great in that fight. They really do sound like they're announcing something they haven't seen. It's not like scripted. But I think by the time Alabama got into the game and started playing well, Vanderbilt was able to hold them off. the entire game. And Vanderbilt was good enough to hold them off. I've seen teams come in flat against other Vanderbilt teams where Vanderbilt jumps out early, but by the end of the 60 minutes, Vanderbilt is just not good enough to hold off a top 10 team. So this year, once again, Alabama is coming off an enormous win against Georgia.
Just as they were a year ago.
Just as they were a year ago, but this one even had more, arguably even more significance because it was at Georgia, and it was also a prove it after they were drugged through the mud by their fans. And even after they beat Georgia, it was like, well, good for you. Thank goodness you didn't go 2-2. Saban's teams never went 2-2. You know, there are so much, there are so many expectations there. And now, after Vanderbilt comes in there, they are at Missouri, and then they have Tennessee at home. 2 enormous games. So I think last year what happened, they overlooked Vanderbilt, they got burned because Tennessee was on the rise, and et cetera. And maybe the glow of being number one was too much. So Vanderbilt is not going to sneak up on them whatsoever. And then add on top of it, Diego Pavia's disposition, his personality, which is to not run from that, not hide in the weeds, but he is coming out and saying, yeah, I think we can beat him again, right? So that's going to make the round. So just in case they didn't know it already, Diego Pavia is reminding them of what happened last year. So it's going to be great theater. And they are going to have to beat them straight up and on the road and as a 10.5-point underdog.
Yeah. Listen, this is what the big question was coming into the season. It was as big as that new stadium is going to be off the Cumberland or off 65, however you want to say it. Can Vanderbilt repeat or even do better than what they did last season? Can they catch people off guard again? Or now that they are not catching people off guard, can they straight up beat teams now? Because everybody now knows Vanderbilt's a good team. First S, Virginia Tech. At Virginia Tech. Blacksburg. Is that what it is?
Blacksburg.
Blacksburg, Virginia. They put it to Virginia Tech. It wasn't even a game, really.
They laid the smackdown on
They said, okay, it was Virginia Tech. It was Virginia Tech.
Coaches
y'all.
on the hot seat.
Yeah, coaches on the hot seat. Well, wait, they got to go to South Carolina. They got to go to South Carolina. That's going to be their test. South Carolina knew they were coming in. South Carolina knew what type of team Vanderbilt was. And they put the smackdown on South Carolina. I get it. South Carolina quarterback got hurt. But even before that, I thought Vanderbilt was going to win the game. Vanderbilt seemed like the better team. They overcame that. Someone that knew they were coming, but just couldn't stop it. Alabama knows Vanderbilt's coming. Can Alabama stop what Vanderbilt is doing? Because people just think, oh, Vanderbilt can't stop Alabama. That's what people are thinking. Vanderbilt can't stop. As good as Vanderbilt's defense have been at points this season, pretty much all season, people still don't think that Vanderbilt's defense can stop Alabama. They're Vanderbilt. They can't stop Alabama. Whoa. Can Alabama stop Vanderbilt? They didn't show they could stop them last year. And frankly, Alabama really hadn't shown they could stop too many people this season. I know they had a great game last week against Georgia. But they haven't proven that they are that dominant defense once again. They're a good team. They're going to remain a good team. They may even make the playoffs. But let's ask the question, can Alabama stop Vanderbilt's high-powered offense? That's what we should be asking and trying to figure out. So I think Vanderbilt has shown, I don't know if they're going to win this game or not. I'm going to pick them to win, but that just because I'm picking them doesn't mean they're going to win. But I think Vanderbilt has shown that, listen, we at the table. You know, we may not be at the top at the first 3 or 4 seats or 5 seats, but we at the table now. And y'all recognize us now. Now y'all got to come out. Y'all better come out with your A game, because if you don't, you have no chance at winning.
As you were discussing Vanderbilt, not to pick on Willie's impressions again, But I was thinking of Willie last year going, oh, Vanderbilt. How could you lose to Vanderbilt?
You can't lose to Vanderbilt. You got to beat Vanderbilt if you want to win the SEC.
By the way, one texter asks, what was the line last year going into the Alabama game? Last year, the line closed Alabama minus 22.5, according to ESPN Bet. So Alabama was a big favorite in that game. At the moment, it's 10.5 on ESPN Bet. 615-737-1025. Did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think as far as the X and O, one thing I'm really curious. Last year, Vanderbilt had more limited weapons. They had Stowers. They had a younger Junior Sherrill. They had a younger Cedric Alexander, but they didn't have the array and the versatility in the skill positions that they've added this year. So they're bringing more to the table. But I think maybe the biggest difference is their offensive line. Their offensive line is much better than it was last year. And even last year, when they needed to run the ball, they ran the ball very effectively. For example, at the end of the game, I don't know if I've ever seen a Vanderbilt team in a 4-minute drill. You need 2 first downs to run the clock out. And if they didn't, they were going to have a lot of trouble stopping Alabama. I was just thinking, oh boy, they're just going to go into a shell. They're going to run it 3 times and punt, and then they're going to hang on for dear life. No, they ran out the clock. So that to me is going to be a key stat. Can they run the ball with consistency, whether it's Pavia or the way they creatively set things up to run it and set up their passing game? Georgia ran for 227 yards last week. Alabama got key stops at key times. Georgia dropped a touchdown pass that was wide open. A true freshman should have had it. There was a key 4th down stop where Georgia decided to go for it, and Alabama made the stop. I'm a little bit. I'm just excited just to see, can Vanderbilt bring down there what they've been doing to all their opponents so far, which is running consistently, protecting their quarterback, and being able to run their stuff.
615-737-1025. Your thoughts on Vanderbilt's matchup at Alabama on Saturday afternoon, featured on College Game Day. Can the Commodores hang with the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa without the element of surprise that seemed to catch Alabama off guard 1 year ago? 615-737-1025. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. Steve Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game, Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan talking Vanderbilt, Alabama, 2:30, ABC, Saturday, College Game Day. Vanderbilt's second ever College Game Day appearance, Alabama's 61st.
And what is that? What is Vandy's record?
1-0.
Yes. They haven't lost, Willie.
A 1,000 winning percentage.
I like those odds.
1-0. One texter says, since we're referencing movies today, I have another Disney one for you. Freaky Friday. Alabama's going to wake up and realize they've changed spots with Vanderbilt in the SEC. So who's
like
Lindsay
that.
Lohan and
like
who's
that.
Jamie Lee Curtis in this scenario? I don't know. Diego Pavia had a quote to Chris Lowe of On 3 that has been making the rounds now. Admittedly, I do not subscribe to On 3, so I haven't been able to read the whole story. So I'm just going off of the pull quote. Diego Pavia to Chris Lowe on Playing at Alabama, quote, the crowd, I think, is going to be a big factor in the game, but we just got to play within the white lines. If we do that, if we play our game, it won't be close. End quote. Coach Willie, your thoughts?
Wow. Coach Willie almost wanted to run out the room. Coach Willie almost
Coach
wanted
Willie
to run
threw
out
up
the
in his
room.
mouth
Man.
a little bit here.
You know, Coach Willie.
He passed out right for a
does
quick
not
second.
endorse
It won't be close.
Willie was like,
Do not endorse that, but it is on brand for
Yes.
Mr. Pavia. And I believe Coach Clark Lee is a little closer on the spectrum to Coach Willie than he is to Diego being Diego. But he is, but the important thing that he has said is I've got to let him be himself. And this is what you have to take.
Clark, if
So-
he had hair, he wouldn't have hair.
So
After this.
I will rationalize it this way. Coach Willie still would say, don't do that, right? If I were to advise him, I wouldn't have done that. But look, he was going to get 100% of that crowd and that team's attention, whether he said that or not. So why not just go?
Go full-fledged, man. Just throw it all in. The kitchen sink, too. Might as well say it all.
Yeah.
But
he leans into it. This is part of what makes him really good is this is just what he does. He leans into this whole thing.
And the one question we had about Pavia in the offseason, he was at the SEC Media Days. Chase and Big Joe were there. Chase used the term rock star to describe Diego Pavia. Everybody wanted a piece of Diego Pavia. And we all wondered, now that Diego Pavia is out there and the SEC knows what to expect from Diego Pavia, how will he respond? And he's been great. He's been great.
He's improved.
6 touchdowns last weekend, 5 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. He has improved. So I don't think the moment is going to be too big for Diego Pavia. He has engineered multiple double-digit upsets in terms of the line of the game, not just at Vanderbilt. Prior to coming to Vanderbilt, he may be the king of this sort of game. So I have zero concerns about Diego Pavia meeting the moment. I also don't have any concerns about the program meeting the moment in terms of the emotional atmosphere, the charged atmosphere. I mean, a game at Alabama, a game on College Game Day at Alabama is always going to be a big deal. But when you factor in what happened a year ago, those fans are going to be even more hyped for this game. And the vibe I get from talking to Clark Lee every week, and Willie, you would know this better than I do. You're closer to the school, obviously, is I just don't get the sense that this is a team that is going to shrink in this moment. I think they are going to handle, even if they lose, I think they're going to handle it well.
Look, he could go in there and play a bad game, and they could go in there and have a bad start. That absolutely could happen. But the track record, and I will use at Virginia Tech, at South Carolina, those were raucous atmospheres. Last year, they went to Missouri, a raucous atmosphere after they lost to, I think it was after they lost to Georgia State, and they took them to double overtime. They went to Kentucky on a Saturday night and won after they beat Alabama, and everybody was singing their praises. They went to Auburn and won. So they have been to some of the really tough atmospheres, and they have not wilted there. So their track record suggests that they are capable of handling a hostile environment, and it is going to be a very hostile environment.
Tommy on our text line says, as a Vols fan, it's nice to see Vandy relevant, but I was at that game last year. Bama overlooked Vandy and still had every chance to win. I think Bama is pissed and will smoke Vandy on Saturday by 20 plus. All right, Tommy.
It could happen. I would take issue with they had every chance to win. Vanderbilt led all the way. They never relinquished the lead. And I don't think Alabama ever had the ball with a chance to take the lead after they fell behind 14. I could be wrong, but I don't think that was the case. We can check that, but that's neither here nor there. His point is well taken. If Vanderbilt lets their guard, and the fact that they're a 10-point underdog suggests that the nation is still not sold.
The jury is out.
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
Or that they think that Alabama is still Alabama after the way they have rebounded from a loss that had everybody buzzing and worried that they had stepped down a notch or two after losing to Florida State the way they did.
I'm going to look to answer your question, but I'm looking at the box score from last year's game. This is an insane number. Time of possession in the game last year. Vanderbilt, 42 minutes, 8 seconds. Alabama, 17 minutes, 52 seconds.
Part of that was Alabama was whipping down the field so quickly and scoring so quickly, and Vanderbilt was doing what they have always done with this offense, and that's grind out 10 yards at a time. But D-Mays, you've mentioned it. They are scoring. They're getting more explosive plays now. They have a different level. They have different layers to them this year that they didn't have last year.
Yeah, they're not the same old Vandy. They're not even the Vanderbilt of last year, which I thought was a good team. This is a better team. Now, each and every week presents its own problems in your opponent. So if they go out here and they lose to Alabama, that doesn't make me think now Vandy isn't a good team. I think Vandy is a much better team than what they were last year, because they got a lot of guys that are returning from a team that experienced some success, and they know what it looks like. They know what it tastes like. They know what it smells like. So they want it continuously now, and they've gotten it up until this point. So I understand why Willie is a little apprehensive. He's a Vandy grad, and he's tempered in what's going on with Vandy. But I'm looking at this from a standpoint of Vandy beat them last year. They beat them. Alabama fans, UT fans that are sitting on the sideline right now, Vandy beat them. I don't want to hear this. Well, Alabama had to. No, Vandy did what they needed to do, and they beat them. They were the better team that day. And since then, I believe if you look at the makeup of the team, they've been a better team than Alabama since then, I believe, in my mind. Does the record bear it out? No, it doesn't. But if you've seen how this team has grown from last year to this year and what they're doing this year, there's a reason why, I think if the only reason this is a 10-point spread is because Alabama beat Georgia. And if those that are out there saying, well, Alabama had their chances to win and they gave it to Vandy. Well, Georgia gave it again to Alabama last week. They gave it to them. You score that touchdown, you probably win that game. But you dropped the pass. So you gave it to them. 4th and 1 inches. You didn't make it. So the same thing that people are saying about Vandy against Alabama, I could say about Alabama against Georgia, which tells me I still believe Vandy's the better team this year right now. It may change as the season continues to go, but Vandy to me is the better team.
I think there's still a perception, and this is what I think a little bit of the betting line is based on, that just the image, the prestige, the track record of Bama and the track record of Vanderbilt, which is the polar opposite, does affect the betting line. The question is, when they line up, how much has Vanderbilt closed the gap?
I wonder if the line's going to move.
Well, it hasn't yet. And last, what was it? The South Carolina, wasn't that the one that really?
I want to say it got down to like 4.5.
It got down to 2.5.
2.5. Oh,
and it started at, I don't know, 5.5, something like that.
6.5.
And that hasn't happened here. But look, we know Alabama has got the top level of recruit, the top level of resources. So that is going to give them a real advantage. But Vanderbilt, I think, has brought a lot more to the table than they have in a long, long time when they go to Tuscaloosa.
Let's quickly get through your text here before we get to Jonathan Hutton. One texter says, I'll take Vandy by a touchdown. I like the underdog in this game. Let's see if anybody takes that game in silly underdog picks coming up in about 25 minutes. One texter says, Bama under Saban wins this game by 2 touchdowns or more. This isn't the same Bama, and this isn't the same Vanderbilt. Expecting a 4-quarter game. Tommy, who said that he thinks that Bama is going to smoke Vandy by 20 plus, does say he would like to see Vandy win. But Jacob from Murfreesboro is coming after Tommy. Says, I'm not going to sit here and act like Vandy getting shoved in the locker by Alabama would bother me. But these Vols fans saying they're rooting for Bama are brain dead. Real Vols fans were raised to root for 2 teams, Tennessee and whoever's playing Alabama. Wake up, Vol Nation.
Vol Nation, is he right? That's all I wanted.
And we'll end on this with Josh from White House. There is a difference between confidence, cocky, and psychotic. And I'm not sure which one Diego Pavia is yet.
All 3.
But that's why he is such a popular figure in this town.
And now the whole country is going to see him on the big stage. And let's see what he brings to the table.
Hey, is Pavia, I know I asked this question before, and quickly I'm going to say it. Is Pavia the most popular athlete in the state of Tennessee right now?
In the state of Tennessee?
Yes.
I don't know.
Only because Tennessee fans outnumber Vanderbilt fans
Yes.
by so much. I just don't
Okay,
think
if you just said
within Nashville,
if you just say, okay,
you could make an argument.
if you based it by number, like, don't take, because obviously UT's fan base is much bigger, but per whatever,
Per capita,
yes. I know UT's fan base is much bigger, but I would tend to believe let's take away
popularity per fan.
Yeah,
per
popularity
60.
Derek,
per fan.
why don't you formulate that thought?
Yes.
And we'll get Jonathan Hutton to weigh in on it as well, because I think Hutton will have a good perspective on it. Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton and Withrow on Outcook will join us next. 615-737-1025. Willie Darnick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick, 102.5 The Game, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. A reminder that Silly Underdog Picks is coming up in the next segment to entice you to call and be the people's pick or the people's picker. I don't know what you want to call it. The prize this week for Silly Underdog Picks is a pair of tickets to see Bryan Adams and Pat Benatar.
Oh my goodness!
At Bridgestone Arena
Oh.
on Friday, November 7th. So if you want to, if you want those tickets, be listening for the cue to call at the end of the next segment as we do Silly Underdog Picks. But before we get there,
a battlefield.
it will be a battlefield. I hear love is also a battlefield.
Yes, it is.
And let's welcome in our friend Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton in Withrow. Hutton, we're talking about Vanderbilt's upcoming matchup with Alabama. Last I checked, the line on ESPN is Alabama minus 10.5.
Okay.
I would love your read on this game and if you think Vanderbilt will cover against Alabama on Saturday.
Do I think they'll cover? Adam, I've picked Vanderbilt to win this game.
Okay.
Already.
Let me hear why.
Pavia. I mean, I'm done doubting this dude, man. Look, they're fourth in yards per play right now offensively in the NCAA, 15th in first down yards per play per first down. That's the key to their offense. Only offense in college football with 18 or more rushing touchdowns. They have 14 or more passing touchdowns. So they're the only offense that's done both. And Pavia last year was consistent. He didn't turn the football over. He was able to keep every defensive player for Alabama on their toes, on their heels. And I think he's done nothing but improve. I'm done doubting him. And I'm also rooting for the storyline here, guys, because I think, correct me, if you guys disagree, let me know. I think locally, regionally, this feels like a big game. Nationally, I'm not sure if anybody realizes what could happen if Vanderbilt goes on the road and wins. They'll be the first bowl-eligible team in college football, and they'll be on the doorstep of a college football playoff. I mean, at 9-3 Vandy with the win over Bama would have a great case against 10-2 Notre Dame. Like, again, I'm looking far in advance here, but they have that, and Pavia would be the front runner for the Heisman. It's an exceptional story for a program that 2 years ago had Clark Lee on the hot seat.
Now, Hutton, I'm looking over at my co-host, Willie Donick, as you
Go
say
ahead, Willie.
all of these things, lavishing praise on Vanderbilt. And I think I see hives breaking out on his skin.
Yeah.
Coach Willie.
Hey.
I got to know, Coach Willie, how you're feeling about what Hutton is saying.
I don't think
Willie, can I go ahead and answer for you this?
Yeah, go ahead.
They beat Bama last year, and then what did they do the week after all the national hype? They went on the road and won at Kentucky, which is not an easy game for them. Kentucky's one of those teams like Arkansas that's going to get theirs at some point along the year. I just like the mental makeup of this team. They are consistent. They don't do anything flashy. They just are consistent. And this is the same Bama as last year. The one that can throw down the 1-800 whip, but can also throw the helmet across the field in frustration. That 1 week they're one version, the next week they're the other. They're very, very good. But Vanderbilt's very good. And I don't think they're going into Tuscaloosa thinking they're just trying to cover the spread.
Hutton, you said the secret word, ass. So let's talk about Cam Ward.
Oh, he was looking forward to this.
Hey,
How about J-Rob's post?
We shared that on the air.
Oh.
It's turned into a hashtag we ass, as John Robinson wishes his wife a happy birthday. I'm sure she loves that. But,
well done.
But let me ask you about those comments, because there has been a chorus of mostly, I would say, former players, including the gentleman sitting to my right, who said that they wish Cam Ward hadn't used that description to describe how the Tennessee Titans are playing. Not only did Derek say it, we played a clip from Shannon Sharp saying it. Warren Moon has done a couple of radio interviews this week. Of course, he gave Cam Ward his number. He said he wishes Cam Ward would have used a different choice of words. My thought on it is we should be praising Cam Ward for having this take on the Titans. It's sort of refreshing to hear this honesty about this team that is 9-36 in its past 45 games.
I mean, he's faced 51 plays of 3rd and 8 or longer. I mean, this dude is he's set up to fail, honestly. I mean, in this offense, Will Levis had better numbers through his first 4 starts than Cam Ward. That's saying something. I'd be frustrated too. And there's this when he said this on Sunday, it's not like it was like right at 10 minutes after the game. This was a good chunk of time after. He's been taking his time getting to the podium, which to each their own, whatever. That's his right. But he's still frustrated about it. He did it in front of a ton of family members and friends. And look, I mean, he's worked his butt off to get to where he is, only to really not have any. I mean, I don't feel any optimism. I don't feel any sign of light at the end of the tunnel here. And he's the only one I think that's being real about it. If we're being honest about that. Jeffrey Simmons is saying the right things and trying to be the vocal leader post game. I mean, he's playing great, but he's on the trade block. The difference between he and Cam Ward is Jeffrey Simmons probably playing for a different team in Week 10. So Cam Ward's here for the long haul, and I'd be frustrated too, given the fact that they were held without a point after changing play callers.
No, I get what you're saying, Hut, about his frustration. My thing is, and will always be, especially when it comes to the quarterback, is that you can be frustrated, but you're not allowed to say what you want to say.
Sure.
It's basically the higher you are as far as your responsibility, you're in a position where you have to watch what you say. For anybody, whether it's the president, CEO, whoever, when you are in a position of authority, you have to be very careful on what you say, because like it's become a meme now.
Absolutely.
ASS has become a meme now.
I know.
And that's not from a guy that has been in the locker room, and I'm sure he will learn. I'm sure he will not make that mistake again. Because the one guy that must, under any condition, I've seen it for 15 years, whether it be Steve McNair, Joe Flacco, it didn't matter.
Right.
Is that the quarterback of all people, he must hold his composure, even over a head coach. Why? Head coach is not the face of the organization. The quarterback is.
Well, Mace, so let's just use your 2 examples. And again, you've been in these locker rooms, man. Eddie George would have been the face when Steve got there, right?
Yeah, early on, yes.
And Ray Lewis was the face of the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
You were the leader. I mean, you're the number 1 receiver there in Baltimore. Who's that guy for Cam Ward?
You're right. He doesn't have that guy.
He's playing every role right now. They don't have a leader.
You're right, and they have guys that can be, but on a losing team, it's like, you're getting ready to leave, get out the door anyway. The only person that could be a leader is Jeffrey Simmons, but he's halfway in and halfway out, not because of his choosing, but because it's like, what is the organization going to do? Are they going to keep him because he's playing so well, or are they going to trade him come the trade deadline? So he's going to be a leader as much as he possibly can, but also realizing, man, I may be gone in 3 to 4 weeks here because of what we're doing. So my whole thing with Cam is knowing that you have to be careful at what you say, because what you say have the potential of bringing down or help bringing down the franchise. That you don't want to be that guy that gives people logs to put in the fire.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from on this. But he's also seen a very conservative game plan, settling for 50-yard field goals, 40 chip shot field goals for that matter. This is a team that he wasn't here for all of this, but of the last 17 games, they've been outscored by 207 points. That includes 2 wins. So their losses have been on average by 14 points. I mean, this is going nowhere fast. I mean, I don't think he's going to be the reason this franchise bottoms out. I mean, I think they're there. And I think we just caught him in a real moment there where, I mean, here's the truth. His jersey right now at the pro shop would be number 1 selling, right? Like it's Cam Ward. Number 2, the second, the top seller, and then number 2 on that list would be #WeAss if you sold t-shirts in the pro shop. Right?
I get it. Yeah.
Like That's where this organization is. There is no one else. And I think he showed up holding Calvin Ridley accountable, and Ridley was doing that for him. Now there's really no one that's producing to do that for him. I mean, it's a bad spot, and we're in week 5. Like and he also knows he's likely going to have an interim coach. He's going into a new coach in year 2. I mean, that's the writing's on the wall with this, and we're not even through at the time, not even through September.
Now with this, you basically said it, that more than likely there will be a coaching change. Do you think? Yeah. Because we talked about this extensively yesterday. Do you think? I understand. Hey, listen. If you don't get the job done, you got to release him. That's just the way it is.
Right.
But do you think it's better for them to let it all play out? But as it's playing out, you're making your list of people that you want to interview and get everything and get all your ducks in a row. So when this season is over, come Black Monday, you're gone, and we are zeroed in on our next head coaching candidate. Or should they fire him as soon as possible?
I mean, Mace, this is an organization and an owner that fired John Robinson in December at 7-5. Mike Mularkey had a winning record. He was fired. Mike Vrabel did what he did as a head coach with all kinds of different players on his game day roster. Things didn't work out for him. Like, if that's not acceptable, this can't be. And that's just bottom line of this. Like, this is worse than Wisenhunt.
Oh, you think?
And what's that?
I say, you think?
Yeah. I mean, but I'm saying, like, the only difference between the two is Callahan's a nice guy.
You know, the difference is also is that Wisenhunt, I think, alienated that building from everybody.
Yes. Well, Wisenhunt didn't know.
Yeah.
There was a time where he's walking down the hallway and he didn't know that one of the minority owners had just walked by him. He wanted to know what that dude was doing in the hallway. Like, you couldn't look the dude in the eye. It was a weird way to approach things by him. That's the opposite of Brian Callahan. I mean, we've said it a million times. He's a great guy, great human being. But I mean, I don't know. I think it sends. You mentioned how the tone and the example that Cam Ward is showing at the podium. I think it sends a terrible message throughout the organization if you just let this thing play out and you don't speak on it. You don't speak on a trade. Like they need to. I mean, don't fire him in September, whatever. But I mean, there's no way to just run this thing out and go 0-17. I mean, that would be. To me, you have to show that there's a heartbeat and a pulse somewhere within the organization.
Shoot, if I'm 10-0, I ain't trying to look for a pulse or a heartbeat. Hey, let's just ride this thing out. You stay as the head coach, and we'll get the number 1 pick.
Well, but I mean, I understand they have a new stadium and ticket sales are supposedly going great. I mean, anywhere you turn, I mean, again, the hashtag #WeAss would be selling by Titans fans would wear the shirt. That's how bad it is right now. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you got to do something that shows that this is not something you stand for. And right now, we don't even know who's coaching the quarterback, who's calling plays, or who's the general manager. It's a mess.
Jonathan Hutton is with us. So, Hut, I got 2 for you. You mentioned before, you said Jeffrey Simmons on the trading block. How long before you think we'll see the Adam Schefters, et cetera, start putting that out there? Because honestly, I haven't seen as much as I thought I might with that. You know how that works. Usually it starts making the rounds and those guys start saying the Titans have put him on the block. Do you think general managers around the league believe that he's on the block right now?
Yes, absolutely. So in regards to recent trades, the Titans were the ones calling around. I think in this case, they'll be getting phone calls. Right, like you call up and it may be a little too early right now because I think the other teams, Willie, are probably still trying to figure out who they are and what they need at the deadline. The deadline's November 4th, I believe, so we're right around a month up until then. So I think next week is probably the time when phone calls initially start to be made, and you get a sense for whether or not a team's interested in what the price tag might be. But I'll be honest with you, I mean, I'm not taking anything less than the first round pick for him.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, if that's the best offer is a second round pick, I'm sticking with Jeffrey Simmons, and his production alone is something that if I'm the GM, I would want on the team. I also realize where the team is and what a first round pick would mean for Mike Borgonzi. But I don't think the value is there for a second round pick in exchange for Jeffrey Simmons. No. And I would draw a hard line on that. But a first round pick, yes, that's in the best interest of the organization. Simmons, I don't know his mindset on whether or not he wants to be here going through this. I said at the time, and I'll stand by it, that everyone was jumping on the Titans for not re-signing Derrick Henry. Who's to say Derrick Henry would have re-signed to do this? Dude wanted to go compete for a championship. This was not the place to do it. You can run the football here, but you're not going to do a lot of winning anytime soon. Not until 2027 when the dome opens. So Willie, I mean, if I'm an alpha like Simmons, I want to go somewhere and win. And he's playing like that. He's one of the few that's having a exceptional year to start. He's playing like he's in a contract year. I love players that are like that, and that's going to pique the interest of teams. And there are some teams that are true Super Bowl contenders that will want to part ways with a pick in order to have his production in January. I would too, because he's a difference maker in the right defense. I'm thinking, if Baltimore turns things around, Buffalo in the interior of that defensive front. There are plenty of AFC teams that would like that, and certainly NFC as well. But you get where I'm going here. If you're going to have a low first round pick, I'd like to have Jeffrey Simmons on my roster in January, getting after the quarterback and stopping the run.
Jonathan Hutton from Hot Mike with Hutton Withrow has been our guest on D-Mace, Vingan, and Donick. He joins us every Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Hutton, great stuff as always, my friend. We'll catch up next week.
To the commish of Silly Underdogs, Willie Donick, if Vanderbilt remains on the board, will you please make an honorary selection for me?
That will be very interesting to see if any of our contestants
if it remains on the board.
We shall see.
On the board.
I predict somebody is going to take the Commodores.
Okay.
Somebody will do it.
Well,
D-Mace is very silent right now.
I got the last pick.
Derek has the last pick
this
this
week.
week. We'll see if Hal Gill takes it off the top.
See.
We'll see. But if not, it's yours.
I'll be listening. Thank you, guys.
615-737-1025. You heard the man. It's time for Silly Underdog Picks presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket. We will get to that next. 615-737-1025. DVD is presented by Bax Homeworks, which transforms kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces into places you can't wait to come home to. Get a free estimate right now at baxhomeworks.com. D Mace Fingen and Donick 1025 the game. It's that time of the week. It is time for Silly Underdog Picks presented by our friends at Volunteer Hose and Gasket. Without further ado, I hand things over to the commissioner, Willie Donick.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Silly Underdog Picks 2025, presented by Volunteer Hose and Gasket, a 31st season of competition, and it continues to roll on. We have had a fantastic year so far. Unfortunately, we had no winners last week. I'm just going to cut to the chase. I'm going to recap them here in a moment. I had a request. I'm not going to name the member of the panel who requested a quick recap because nobody was even close to a win. But let's introduce our panel. Live once again, somewhere in the Nashville area, is the big man, Hal Gill, Skillsy, the rookie in the competition. Hal, where are you today?
I'm outside doing a little bit of painting.
Oh,
painting.
Just something I picked up. You know,
are you
Are we
painting
talking about like
a portrait or something?
Is this an easel?
It's who am I kidding? I'm painting bricks.
You're painting bricks.
I'm painting bricks out in the backyard. You know, it's the way I played. I never made an piece of art in my life. I just try to clean things up a little bit.
I'm just imagining Hal as Bob Ross. Painting landscapes.
I wish I could make a happy little tree for you, but I'm not on that level.
Okay.
I'm not on that level.
And to no surprise, Chris Sanders is not here.
Yeah.
The 518 rule still not taking hold over on West End or Harding Road on the campus of Montgomery Bell. So
but if I were Chris Sanders, I wouldn't want to show my face in this competition since he's 0-5, I want to say.
We'll get to that momentarily. As you request, here is your recap for week number 5 of the competition. Derek Mason coming off of a big back-to-back victory combo that has vaulted him into the lead in the competition. He tried to make it 3 in a row, and he selected West Virginia, a 12.5-point dog playing at home against the Utah Utes.
Yeah.
West Virginia was coming off a big win.
One good.
They were down 28-0 at the half.
They got beat 48-14.
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't good.
It wasn't that close.
It wasn't good. Mountaineers, West Virginia Mountaineers. Yeah. Okay.
Will you be considering the Mountaineers again anytime
soon? If they change their whole team, I would. But right now, no.
Can they get a new team the next week?
Yeah.
It seems like you can.
West Virginia some years ago, yeah.
Yeah. Let's now go to Hal Gill, the painter. He selected the color orange. So I don't know if he's painting the brick orange right now, but probably not based on how Syracuse did. A 5.5-point home dog against the Duke Blue Devils up in the place once known as the Carrier Dome. And how you had a voice in your head that told you to pick Syracuse. There were a lot of voices in your head, but that one prevailed. Syracuse fell 38-3. And it wasn't very close. Yeah. To Duke.
The other voice was Virginia. And why didn't I listen to that voice?
Oh, well.
The committee did have a meeting about that, I believe, Saturday night after the Syracuse loss.
That's a tough one. But hey, this week I got a lock, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
That's all
right.
Okay.
Let's keep that in your back pocket because you will be picking first here momentarily. Adam Vingan was going for a 4th consecutive win. He was on a roll. He went with the Golden Knights of UCF with Scott Frost back at the helm. A 6-point dog on the road at Kansas State. A somewhat competitive game, but K-State holds serve and wins going away 34-20.
Well, at least it wasn't 38-3 or whatever the score
or
was.
48-14.
Right.
So somewhat competitive.
Right.
You didn't cover. Not that matters.
I'll take somewhat competitive.
Somewhat competitive is about the best I can do.
Can't win them all.
And just for those of you that are not familiar with our competition, there are no points for a cover. You get the points if your underdog wins outright. That is silly underdog picks. That brings us to Chris Sanders. He selected, as usual, a big underdog. In this case, it would be Liberty, a 16.5-point dog on the road at ODU, Old Dominion.
In beautiful, scenic Norfolk, Virginia.
And the Monarchs jumped out and won 21-7. So no winners this week. So after 5 weeks of the competition, it is still D-Mace in the lead with 25.5 points. Adam Vingan in second place with 3 wins and 18 points. Skillsy not far behind at 17.5. And then Chris Sanders, 0.
0.
David
how much is
James,
that?
have we
Zero.
heard anything from Chris
0.
Sanders today?
I have not.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, keep it rolling.
He texted on the text chain and asked if he was in the lead.
He knows the rules. He knows the rules. He's got the 3rd pick this week, so he's got a little bit of time.
Okay. So let's hope that Chris right now is with his committee and preparing his pick. The order of selection this week will be Hal Gill, followed then by Adam Vingan, Chris Sanders in the 3-hole, and D-Mace batting cleanup. So let's start the picks for week 6 with Hal Gill.
Oh, baby. Oh, I got to tell you guys, this didn't take long. Can we cut the music? Because I want to get this pick in. I've been excited.
Okay.
The second last week was done, I knew my pick. And I want to see it, and I can't wait to see it. And I know Nashville wants to see it. I got to take Vandy and going into Tuscaloosa and singing. What's the song, Willie? Sing that song. Sing that song.
Conquer and
You're not
prevail.
allowed to do that. As the commissioner, you can't do that. I want Pavia singing the song after the game in Tuscaloosa. That's what I'm looking for.
Vanderbilt is
Vandy over Bama.
Okay.
There it is.
Vanderbilt is a 10.5-point underdog at number 10 Alabama. And we know that one is the featured game. It's game day. It's the 2:30 p.m. game on ABC. The entire nation will see it. Let's see if the number 16 Commodores can pull it off. We were wondering how quickly Vanderbilt will go off the board. For the record, nobody took Vanderbilt against Alabama last year for the upset. Chris Sanders had them beating Virginia Tech for a big one. And then the following week, Adam, you picked them to beat Kentucky and got a win.
I did.
But now Hal is going to ride the wave and see if he can get them at Bama.
Okay.
So there was no committee meeting on this one. It sounds like it was unanimous. That's where Hal was going. Now let's get to Adam Vingan.
Automatic.
I don't know about that. We'll see. Adam Vingan with pick number 2.
Okay. So I am not going with an ACC team, but I am going with a former ACC team. This is an interesting line to me. The Washington Huskies, who lost last week to the Ohio State Buckeyes, are traveling across the country from the Pacific Northwest to College Park, Maryland to take on the Terrapins. And Washington is a 6.5-point favorite on the road. I think this is interesting. So I will take the Maryland Terrapins at home to defeat the Washington Huskies.
Maryland is 4-0 and a 6.5-point home dog against the Washington Huskies, who played fairly well, hosting Ohio State, who is a powerhouse, no question about it. And Washington, deep in the first half, still had the lead in that game. They were hanging in there. But as the game wore on, Ohio State just a little too tough. But I'm with you. When the long travel games, we've mentioned this before on the show, it's been well documented that in the Big Ten with this big travel, teams who have made the big travel have not fared well. So the Terps were really good for D-Mace a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's see how they do for Mr. Vingan.
We do have Chris Sanders. Chris Sanders is
just
here.
in the nick of time. Just in the nick of time.
Hey, you busters. What are y'all doing?
Okay, so Chris, are you prepared or are you in scramble mode here? Are you ready to make this?
No,
pick?
I'm good. I got my notes right in my pocket.
Hit the music, David.
Oh,
we have to do this right. We have to have Lionel.
We're always looking for you because you don't show up on time.
I got practice.
We moved this competition for you, but I'm glad
Thank you,
you're here.
buddy.
Go ahead, buddy.
The forever
Here we
type
go.
Chris Sanders. Chris, I have one question for you before you make
Sure.
it. Have any of your Big Red players at Montgomery Bell Academy, have they ever sang this song to you in honor of you? Do they know about Lionel Richie?
Yeah, they do. Absolutely. We sing it after practice. I
don't believe that.
I don't believe it either. No,
But you need to teach them. You need to teach them
Okay.
about Lionel Richie. Show
Okay,
them
can I
some
tell
wisdom.
you- Can I say this? All my kids are white.
They don't know nothing about Lionel Richie. They still got to know Lionel Richie. They still got to know Lionel Richie. Come on,
He's
man.
got a broad audience.
Well,
Come on.
Exactly.
And I'm saying that to be funny. Yeah, but
It's like they didn't have Lionel in their record.
But you can't go,
stash.
hello.
Expand their horizons.
Yeah, exactly. You got to help them.
Expand the
You
horizons.
got to help them, man.
Now, D-Max, you know I can't sing, man. Do you want me to sing for real?
No.
No.
Okay. And do I got to make my pick now?
Yes.
Yes. What do you think you're on here for?
Oh, I thought y'all didn't love it, brother. That's all right.
Besides, yeah, we love you, but you need to pick.
Okay, here we go. I wasn't gonna do this, but I'm doing this just to spite D Mace. You already
Don't do
know.
that. Don't
I'm
do
going
it.
Michigan State.
Don't do it. Oh my goodness.
Beat Nebraska.
Ah, man.
Come on, State, you doggone Spartans.
I see 11.5 on this game, Willie.
I wasn't gonna pick that game.
Oh yeah,
man. Why did
yes. Yeah, why?
That's actually,
Why?
you know what? That's actually like a sensible pick.
No.
Well, no, because usually he's picking like 25-point
I
underdogs.
want him to lose, but he picked my team.
Okay,
So you
okay.
have to root for Chris.
Yes.
I almost went with Oklahoma, Arizona.
I'm seeing a meme right here when you have to root for your opponent.
No, yeah.
He picks your alma mater.
Oh, D-Max, would you teach me the fight song when I win?
No, definitely not.
The Spartans of Michigan State are an 11.5-point dog on the road at Nebraska. Nebraska at 3-1 on the season. Michigan State also 3-1, a 3:00 game on Fox Sports 1. Speaking of D-Mace, he has the final pick of week 6.
Hit it. Nope. Me and Post Malone. That's it. Me and Post Malone. All right. I was going to go with one game, but I think that game would have really peeved Adam off. The North Carolina and Clemson game. I was going to go North Carolina. I should do that and North Carolina win it. Ooh, it would just make
Why
him
don't you
mad
just
over there.
burn your pick right now?
So, with that being said, I am going with, I just had it. Well, Virginia versus Louisville.
Okay.
I think that's
Is
the
it
game.
Louisville or Louisville?
Louisville. Louisville. It's not Louisville. It's Louisville. Yeah, I think it was a 6.5-point spread.
That's
if I'm
what
not
I have.
Kidding.
Yeah, Brent Musburger back in the day for the NCAA. We'd always say Louisville.
Yeah, it's not Louisville. It's Louisville.
Yeah.
Louisville. Louisville.
But Virginia coming off an upset against Florida State.
Yes.
And despite the
I'm
upset,
surprised
still,
nobody looked at that game. Like,
did anybody have that on
I,
the radar?
I considered it. Yes,
Okay.
I considered it.
I was hoping, like, please don't let nobody pick this game.
Virginia has now crept into the top 25. They
Yeah,
are
they're
24th.
4?
They are 4-1, and despite that, they are a 6.5-point dog at 4-0 Louisville. It used to be Papa John Stadium, nice and easy to say. Now it is L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium.
L&N
Federal Credit Union Stadium.
Well, didn't
that's
Papa
Just
John
rolls off the tongue.
didn't Papa John get canceled?
I think.
If Papa John,
I don't know.
They did have some issues.
Yeah,
Papa
didn't
John.
Papa John has some issues?
Look it up, Chris.
Yeah.
Google it.
Google
Just like
it.
the Indiana coach
Yeah.
says, Google me. You don't know who I am? Google me. All right, let's recap
Oh,
the
my
picks for
God.
week number 6. They are down in ink. They are laid out and ready to roll. Hal Gill, right now in third place, still in contention, selects the Vanderbilt Commodores, a 10.5-point dog on the road at Alabama. It's the featured game on ABC, 2:30 p.m. A pair of ranked teams, maybe the biggest spotlight game that Vanderbilt football has ever played, arguably. Let's see how they do in the glare of the spotlight as Bama
Let's
comes
have a
off
good
their
one.
big game and win at Georgia last week. Adam, selecting in second place, goes with Maryland. The Terps, the Terrapins, a 6.5-point home dog against the Washington Huskies, who travel 3 time zones over after their loss to number 1 Ohio State last week. The forever Titan, Chris Sanders, fresh off the practice field at NBA, selects to try to dig at his former teammate, Derek Mason. Derek Mason's own Michigan State Spartans, an 11.5-point dog on the road in the cornfields of Lincoln, Nebraska. The Huskers will be hosting the Sparties. And then finally, and by the way, D-Mace, did you play a college game against Nebraska?
We got beat down both times.
Good memories of that?
No, no. I had a broken wrist in one of the games.
Ooh,
yeah,
Huh?
broke my wrist after we played Purdue first game of the season, and they purposely, like literally, they purposely tried to take me. I was catching a punt. He purposely speared me.
Wow.
This was the Tommy
broke my
Frazier powerhouse Nebraska team,
This was
right?
the year after, because we played.
So it was Scott Frost.
Yeah, we played that year, my freshman year. No, my junior or sophomore year, and got blew out at Michigan State with Lawrence Phillips.
Lawrence Phillips.
And
Ooh,
then
good.
we went back and played them there, and it wasn't no better, really.
That was the heyday of Nebraska.
Yeah,
right
they
there.
had. Whew,
So let's hope
you
the
talk about
era is different here for the Spartans.
some corn-fed brothers in Nebraska. Boy, they were. Those boys was huge, man. Goodness, they were huge.
And finally, D-Mace selects Virginia. The Cavaliers coming off the unbelievable victory, high drama, Friday night against Florida State. Have you ever seen a crowd get from just beyond the end zone into the field of play faster?
I was worried about the
I thought
kid.
5 guys had been buried 10 feet under the ground.
I was worried about the
Trampled.
kid that
Oh, yeah.
broke up like he was laying on the ground and the crowd just ran.
I think if you have TiVo and you run back the replay of all the antics of some of the fans, you're going to incriminate several Virginia
course.
students there. There were some
Absolutely.
one-gun salutes. There were some phones out there. There were some, there were some things that were not great conduct becoming of the Cavaliers. But Virginia takes their act on the road. A 6.5-point dog at undefeated Louisville. Remember old Tom Jackson back in the day from Louisville. So the picks are in the books for week 6. Silly underdogs. Card laid is a card played. The people will pick next.
It's your
on the other
turn.
side.
It's your turn.
So, gentlemen, as always, good luck.
Derek, before
Good
I
luck,
give a number,
gentlemen.
you say your thing, and then I'll say my thing.
Hey, fellas, I love all of y'all. Hal, keep painting. I want to see that brick when it's done painting. But outside of that, I hope all of y'all lose. All y'all
Well,
lose.
not Chris, because that means Michigan State loses.
Oh, I hate you. I hate you, Chris. I hate you. Damn.
Chris has laid a trap for Derek Mason, but now it is your turn to represent the people. The first caller at 615-737-1025 will represent the people. And if you pick correctly, you will win a pair of tickets to see Brian Adams and Pat Benatar at Bridgestone Arena on
Now
Friday,
we're talking.
November 7th.
That's a
Call
prize right
now, 615-737-1025. We'll get that pick and wrap up the show next. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025 The Game. D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick 1025. The game. Willie Donick, Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you. Preds Insiders featuring Willie Donick and yours truly coming up right after DVD. But before we get there, we need someone to represent the people. And who better than our friend Hair Metal Henry on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHunter.com. Henry, your selection, please.
Well, Adam, can I have a minute to defend Chris Sanders' honor?
I'll give you 20 seconds.
Okay.
He really
Against
just doesn't
Ohio
like
State.
Chris having any kind of. Adam is trying to shut down Chris at all angles. I'll give you 20 seconds.
Go ahead, Henry.
Okay. I'm gonna take Virginia or Wake Forest against Virginia Tech, but there was a great movie called Any Which Way You Can with Clint Eastwood as a bare knuckle fighter, and as he's winning the fight against Jack Wilson, the mafia boss told Chola and his boys to kill Philo Beto, to which Chola, the leader of the Black Widows, told his boys to stop it. And he said, "But Chola, we hate Philo Beto." And he said, "Boys, war is war, but business is business. I bet everything against Philo. So that's why you bet against your alma mater." Give me Wake Forest -6.5.
Thank you, Henry. And that was
All
a
right.
game that I considered.
Mhm.
On the docket.
If the Maryland game had been taken by Hal, I would have taken the game.
I
that Henry
considered the
just took.
Maryland game in Washington. I was like, ooh. That
So
was
good
tough.
luck to our friend Hair Metal Henry. If he wins, he will receive a pair of tickets to see Brian Adams and Pat Benatar, neither of whom I should say perform hair metal.
No, they can rock it a little bit, but it would not be hair metal
No.
for sure.
It would not be hair metal.
Rock and roll for sure. Wake Forest, the gutsy move to go for 2 instead of kick for overtime, and they missed it after leading for most of the game against Georgia Tech. And then Virginia Tech had a nice win with their new coach, and I forgot who they had to replace Pry, the guy that was coaching when Vanderbilt beat them. And then they got subsequently whipped by Old Dominion. Virginia Tech has won a couple since then. They're 2-3, so curious to see how that one goes. That's a good game.
Willie, I know you are jonesing for an MLB postseason score update. So
You know it.
give
You
it to
know
us. Give it to us.
Okay, 2 games in the books. The Cleveland Guardians were able to even their series against the Tigers. Tigers won 2-1 yesterday. Today's game was 1-1 in the bottom of the 8th, and Cleveland, an offensively challenged team to say the least, came up with 5, a couple of big bombs to break it open. A 3-run shot by Bo Naylor blew it open, and that series is tied at 1. San Diego also evened their series, and this was today at Wrigley Field against the Cubs. Tight game yesterday. Cubs won it. San Diego was able to take the lead. Manny Machado hit a big home run, and then their great deep bullpen did it all and shut the Cubs down. So rubber match in both of those series tomorrow. Later on tonight, the Reds, who got whipped by the Dodgers last night, had to go all the way out to L.A. Dodgers looked really good last night. That game's later on tonight. And the game going on right now, Red Sox and Yankees tied at 2 in the bottom of the 3rd. Yankees have 2 on and 1 out. Yankees must win to force the game 3. Trevor Story just tied the game in the top of the 3rd with a 2-run single for the Sox. But Yankees are threatening again.
I have a trivia question for all of you. So today, the Cleveland Browns made a quarterback change.
Yes, they did.
Shocker. Dylan Gabriel in, I'm sorry, Derek, Joe Flacco out.
Yeah.
When Dylan Gabriel starts this weekend for the Cleveland Browns, he will be the blank different starting quarterback the Browns have used since returning to the NFL in 1999.
This would be the 1999. So we're talking 26 years.
Yep. I think it's the 76,237.
So 26 quarterbacks at least. I would say since then, I would say 40.
Willie, venture a guess?
So 40 would be just less than 2 per year. There were some years where I know they had 3.
But
They
it
had
could have
to.
went back to the same guy.
There's some years they only had 1. Yeah, some they could have. I will say 44.
Derek is closest. Price is Right rules. Dylan Gabriel will become the 41st different quarterback
So we were both in the
the
ballpark.
Browns
Yeah.
have started since returning to the NFL in 1999, the most in the league during that span. The next closest team, the Chicago Bears, with 30 starting quarterbacks, and the
Whoa.
Washington Commanders with 29.
So Tim Couch,
And you know why those teams
Ty
have been in the
Detmer,
mud.
And
Kelly Holcomb.
this is just since Baker Mayfield last played for the Cleveland Browns. The starting quarterback since Baker Mayfield left Cleveland. Case Keenum, Jacoby Brissett, PJ Walker, Jeff Driscoll, Deshaun Watson, Jameis Winston, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, Bailey Zappi, Joe Flacco, and Dylan Gabriel.
Bailey Zappi? I didn't realize he was there.
So I guess it could be worse, Titans fans.
Yeah, it could be. You can have 10 quarterbacks and not have
41 different starting quarterbacks since returning to the NFL
And it may
25
change
years
again.
ago.
It may change again.
Well, I guess Shador Sanders went full on mime today. He was heavily criticized by Rex Ryan on Get Up for something.
Okay.
Did you hear this?
Yeah.
What did he say?
I mean, Rex went full burn down the house. Said, he was immature. Just all of this stuff sitting in front. All of these things that Rex said about an individual that is not even playing. It's not. The last we saw of Shador Sanders in preseason, he had a good preseason. Then that last preseason game, he didn't have a so good outing. I mean, the guys who were playing with, all those guys were going to be cut anyway. So he didn't have a good outing. But to eviscerate him the way that Rex did, it was like you got a personal vendetta toward him. Like, what's going, like, seriously, what's going on,
I think I have
dude?
found part of it. He said, quote, this was on Get Up. Something's missing with this kid. This kid talks and he runs his mouth. Like he said, I can be a starting quarterback with his
What is he
arms
supposed
crossed
to
like
say?
this. He said, get your ass in the front row and study and do all that. If I know, the whole league knows. Quit being an embarrassment that way.
That right there. What do you have personal against this kid? What do you have personal against his family? Like, are you in the meeting rooms? Are there people telling you that he's not in the front row, that he's sitting in the back or something? Because I would tend to believe that he's a rookie guy. He's going to be in the front row. That's just mandatory. Rookies sit in the front row. Like, that's what you do, whether you're a rookie or whether you are a first pick in the draft or the last pick in the draft. Usually they sit up front.
So I guess what
This
he
is
did
customary.
was he was asked questions after practice today, and he mouthed
Yeah,
silent
because no matter what Shador says, people are going to find fault in anything.
Mm-hmm.
So he might as well just not. They're the ones that are asking him these questions. He's not going up to reporters and say, hey, I want to tell y'all a little something about what's going on. They're coming to him. And he's just, what is he supposed to say? Oh, I'm not good enough to play in this league, and I never will be. I want a guy that says, yes, I think I'm good enough to play in this league. He didn't say anything disparaging about his teammates or anything else. Rex, stop that crap, man. Seriously.
That's your former coach.
Exactly. You live in this. Stop that, man. Like, what do you have personally against this kid? Like, seriously.
That's a good question.
Like, because I've never seen anybody just go at a kid, a rookie, like this. And he ain't even a starter.
We'll have to leave this for another day, but that'll do it for us today. We will be back tomorrow at 3:00 as we continue our preview of Vanderbilt, Alabama, as well as the Titans matchup against the Arizona Cardinals. Mitch Light will join us at 3:40. But until then, we'll talk to you tomorrow at 3. Preds Insiders with Willie and I, or Willie and me, is coming up next.
Be loved, love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, and wonderful day. I love you. The team loves you. You hear this song. Don't you ever forget about us, because we will be back tomorrow, Thursday at 3:00. Peace.